What's up, good people? Listen, in this video today, I'm going to be showing you 10 practical ways on how to improve your webinars and make more money. And when I say make more money, I'm talking about like the $1.2 million we made from this webinar funnel. I'm going to reveal to you 10 practical ways by which we were able to go produce not only the 1.2 for this funnel, but millions of dollars over the last 7 years using webinars online. Okay. Now, let me just first start by saying this. A lot of people think webinars are dead. A lot of people say that they don't work. Here's what I can tell you. If you don't do what I'm gonna show you in this video, then they won't work and they are dead, okay? The first thing everybody needs to understand about their webinar is this. You have to reiterate why they are there. Reiterate why they are there. Now, I know some of y'all are like, well, but they signed up for it. I know. But how much stuff do we sign up for all throughout the course of the day to be reminded of other stuff? We have no idea all the buttons that we pushing throughout the course of the day. So when they first come to your webinar, many people make the mistake of doing what? An introduction. Hey, thank you guys for coming. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. Don't nobody care about who you are yet. Why? Because people tuned into the station WIFM. What's in it for me? So until you first let them in on what's in it for them, then they care nothing about you. Is that too tough? I thought y'all were here to make more money. I'm just trying to be honest with y'all. They don't care about who you are. They don't even know who you are. They don't even know that you were the person that was going to be putting this thing on. They clicked on something because they had a self-interest that whatever it was that you promoted was potentially going to help them. So the first thing that you need to do in this process is to reiterate to them why they're there. Now, when I say that, this is what I mean. And write this down. This is a strategy called enrolling them into the conversation, enrolling them into the presentation. So this is what it looks like. So everybody's coming in the room. Hey, let us know in the chat where you're tuning in from. Love to know where you're tuning in from. By the way, that's not just filler conversation. That's to understand where your marketing is being most effective. If I got clusters of people in the Southeast, if I got clusters of people on the East Coast, then that's telling me where my marketing and where my attention is at that point in time. Okay. Don't waste words. Let's be very intentional with everything that we're doing. So after we do that, then we ask a question like this. How many of you are here because you want to make 6 or 7 figures over the next 12 months with a Shopify store, right? I don't know what your offer is, but I'm just throwing stuff out there. If that's you, type me in the chat. What does that do? It enrolls them into the conversation and the presentation, and it reiterates to them why they are there. Why? Because they don't remember. So they may have come there because of something that was in your ad copy. There was something on your funnel, your landing page that prompted them to be there, but now you're telling them why who's here because they want to learn how to build a 6 to 7 figure business in the next 12 months with a Shopify store. Put that's me in the chat. So what have you done? You've enrolled them into why they're there. Follow-up question. We know that knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So when I give you this new knowledge over this next hour, hour and a half together, who's going to take immediate action? If that's you, put that's me in the chat. What are you doing? You've enrolled them into the conversation, and now you've got them to make a commitment as to what they're going to do at the end of this thing, which is take action. Now, for some, that will mean take action on your offer. For others, that just means take action in life. But you don't want to waste your time or theirs just hanging out and nobody do anything at the end of it. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? Type it in the chat, right? So that's number one. You got to reiterate to them why they're there, okay? Number 2. Oh, this is good. This is good. By the way, I got a bonus for those of y'all that stay to the end too. Number 2 is create conversation over presentation. So create conversation over presentation. This is what I mean. The presentation is not what converts on the webinar. The presenter does, which I'll get to more of that in a minute. But the point is, you want to make sure that you're having dialogue with them. You see how initially right off the gate, I'm having them respond in the chat. So one of the things that you want to do is to let them know that this is a learning style by which you're going to be teaching them throughout the course of the webinar. So it may sound something like this. So for everybody here, right, statistics show, which is all true, by the way, statistics show that if I lecture you the whole time that you're going to retain about 20% of the information that I'm sharing with you. Statistics also show that if you participate in what's called active learning, where I say things to you and you respond back to me, that you're going to retain upwards of 80%. So let me just ask you guys a question. Would you rather retain 80% or 20% of what I'm teaching? Put it in the chat. 80%, of course. So is everybody okay with active learning where I'm going to say things to you and have you respond back to me? Is everybody good with that? Let's try that out right now. Put yes in the chat if you're good with active learning. What have you done? You've taught them a principle. You showed them that you care about them retaining the information. So what's going to happen as a result? They're going to participate more. Why is that important? Because you create more conversation over presentation. So what happens is a lot of the time people get so married to the method when they should be married to the outcome, which is what I want them to get from this, and be able to date the method by which I get them there. So what I mean by that is this. Some people, and I'm sure that y'all have been on webinars like this, and maybe you've done them like this, where you're so handcuffed to the presentation. You got all these words on your slides, and you're essentially reading to them the presentation as if that's presenting to them. The problem with that is, one, is boring. Two, if they reading all these words from the screen, they're not paying attention to you. Okay. And it's more presentation oriented instead of conversation oriented. If I'm just sitting here talking at you the whole time and I'm not asking you for feedback, then I'm missing out on what you're actually thinking. But if I can have a presentation that I prepared that I know has all of the meat in it that I need to present to you, but I'm also open-handed enough to where as I'm engaging with you in the chat and you're giving me your thoughts, you're giving me your input, you're giving me your feedback or even your pushback, that I'm confident enough to come off of that presentation and have a conversation. I'm pulling certain pieces out of the chat to now make you a part of the conversation instead of me just being the one in the presentation. Does that make sense? But if this is good so far, please like this, get it out in the algorithm and share it with a friend or somebody that you love and care about. Okay. Because we cooking. By the way, if you do this stuff, you're going to make a lot more money. Okay. So number 3, and I just talked about this a little bit. Don't clutter your slides. Don't clutter your slides. Now, I know some of y'all, you're very data driven, you're very analytical, and you think more words or more graphs and more this and more that means more success, and it does not. What it means is most people get more exhausted, me being one of them. I'm a slow reader, okay? I read very well, but I just read very slow visually. So I listen to audiobooks to kind of work around that. But if you have people in your audience like me, that's a slow reader, and you got a bunch of words on your screen, well, I'm going to respect the fact that you put them there. But by virtue of me trying to slow down to read them, I'm now not listening to you. You picking up what I'm putting? I can't be fully focused on reading and listening to you at the same time. So if you don't have my undivided attention, then you ain't gonna have my undivided payment. It just don't work like that. So what you want to do is put less. You want to put a picture that prompts you to have a story or a parable, or you want to have a one-liner that also prompts you to have a conversation. Why? Because you want to create conversations over presentation. It's not about the presentation. It's about the presenter having a conversation. Y'all getting this? Okay. Number 4. Ooh. Y'all don't know if y'all gonna like this one a whole lot. Be original. Be original. The problem today is that people are misusing AI. Well, I love AI, right? I didn't use it for this piece of content, but I'm shooting a podcast after this, and I used it for some of the ideation process, right? I love AI. Where people go wrong today is letting AI think for you, letting AI become you. And that's a poor mistake because AI will be remarkable, but it won't always be relatable. People buy because they know, like, and trust you. And in order for them to feel that way, then there has to be some type of human connection in what you're presenting to them. And there's only so many. It's very important that you share real human experience with your audience, because guess what? They're also having a human experience in their life. So when I talk about on one of my webinars how at 17 I was looking at a 4 to 10 year felony, that I got my now wife, then girlfriend, pregnant at 18. I was kicked out the house. I went up to college on a full ride academic scholarship. I flunked out. All these crazy things from this transition from 17 to 18 years old. But then I found my way into the church. I gave my life to Christ. And while I didn't fully understand what that meant, things started falling into place. And I got the case was fully expunged from my record, and I never went to prison. And I got rematriculated back into college, where I graduated summa cum laude. And my now wife of 18 years, we have a beautiful 23-year-old daughter who recently got married this year. That's a human connection. Now, by the way, maybe everybody didn't go through all of the trials and tribulations that I did, but they either know somebody that did or they resonate with parts of my story. AI ain't gonna tell you that. You know that, right? Like, AI is infinite in wisdom. I mean, infinite in knowledge, but not infinite in wisdom. There's only certain things that I understand about life because I've lived it. And that's what the people need to sense from you. I give you this, I didn't even have this in the presentation. I'm gonna give it to you since you're here. I mean, if you're gonna use it. You're gonna use it when you're structuring your slides, which I'll do a whole, if you want me to do part 2 on webinar training, I'll do a whole nother training about the structure of your slides and the order by which you should go in. Okay. But one of the things to that point is this: you want to tell your hero story first and then your zero story. So like what I just explained about the 4 to 10 year felony at 17, all the things, that's my zero story, right? That was like rock bottom, at least one time of rock bottom in my life. But you want to tell your hero story first, because these people getting on your webinar are strangers. So after you first establish to them what's in it for them, then you want to tell them your hero story, all your accolades. Why are they here, right? Why are you qualified to help them out? Then you go to your zero story to normalize to them where you started, so that they then can see themselves in you, that what you've accomplished is possible regardless of what their unique starting point is. That's a major key. If you tell your zero story first, and some of y'all have done it, people start falling off because don't nobody care about you a sibling of 7 and your little baby sister peed in the bed as she was 9. They just don't care. You know what I'm saying? Because you haven't established to them the authority as to why they should listen to you. So if you start out with your zero story, you'll lose people. You start out with your hero story, they'll keep tuning in for self-interest. Even if they hate your zero story. Some people may be mortified at the fact that I was looking at a 4 to 10 year felony at 17, had a baby at 18. Watch this. Some of them really don't even like the fact that I gave my life to Christ at 18. But because I've already established who I am and what my value is to them, they'll tolerate it. You see what I mean? This is so important in communication and understanding your audience. So I talked about this a little bit. Number 5 is make the presentation about them. Make the presentation about them. Now, when I say that, this is what I mean. The presentation ain't about you. Now, I know for some of you, you probably built it that way, and that's egregiously wrong. The presentation ain't about you. The presentation, listen, you're only important in the presentation for 2 reasons: to be an example of what's possible, and to be able to become a case study for them. To be an example of what's possible and to become a case study for them. Those are the 2 things. Like, you're a character in the story, but they're the hero in the story. You're a character, they're the hero. If you make you out to be the hero, you've done it wrong. They need to see themselves in a new frame that they can become the hero of their story. And you're a character in your story that's showing them how they can become a hero in their story. That's how it should go. So you want to make the presentation about them. Everything that you do, every slide that you put together. I'm only telling you certain things. Even right now, it's so many things that I could talk to y'all about that would be self-serving for me. But I don't, because it's not about me. It's about you. So as an example, I may tell a story about Back when I had a real estate mastermind, okay, there was one particular story that I told about how I bought this 40-unit apartment building and how I went out and raised all the money for it. I did the deal with no money out of pocket. It was a multiple $1 million deal, and how that deal would produce $40,000 a month. Okay. Hey, real quick, if you are a coach, consultant, business owner, aspiring business owner, you want to start making more money online. Maybe you stuck at that, 5, 10, 20K a month ceiling. Maybe some of you are still in ideation mode. You're just like, I got to get out of the job. I know I got something in me I need to give birth to, but you can't quite figure out how to either scale it or start it. Make sure you come to our Purpose to Profits Challenge. My partner, David, and I are going to be showing you how to successfully grow your business online, helping you with content creation, helping you with marketing strategies, helping you with sales, fulfillment, the whole nine, okay? Showing you our exact systems on how we went from not making 6 figures a year, not multiple 6 figures a year, but 6 figures a month and even sometimes 6 figures in a day. If that sounds like you, make sure you click the link in the description, sign up for the challenge. General admission is only $17. All right. $47 for the VIP. If you want to spend 1 hour exclusively with David and I each day and ask all of your questions specifically, make sure you get the VIP ticket. We will see you there, and get back to the episode. I told them that story because, one, it was real. Secondly, because it showed them what was possible, but also to teach them a lesson. And that lesson was this. How many people, how many of you listening to that story go to work every day and still don't produce $400,000 a year? Almost everybody. Why is it that we allow ourselves to go to work every day to make 6 figures a year, which is equivalent to $48 an hour? You can't buy BurgerFi with $48 an hour, right? Me and my wife go to BurgerFi, it's $48. This is the equivalent of what we trade our time and our life for the form of compensation. Meanwhile, if you had specialized knowledge and skill, you could go and put together a deal like this that produced $400,000 a year without you not even having to use your money and a lot less of your time. Because once you got the deal set up, it pays you and you put people in place to maintain it. So you see how, even though it was a real life event for me, it showed my credibility in what I do, but it also gave them the ability to see themselves in a new frame and taught them a valuable lesson. That as long as you trade in time for money, you're always going to be broke. The only way to get wealthy is when your money is at work independent of your time. Is this making sense? I just wanted to give you all a practical example of what I mean by, yes, the story seemingly was about me and the fact that I bought this apartment building, but that was really a backdrop to everything else that I was trying to teach them about them. Okay. Is this good? Let me know in the chat if this is good. Let me know in the comments. If y'all do this one, man, oh man. You want to use case studies instead of testimonials. Right? Now, testimonial is extremely important. Why? Because, and it's even scripture, I'm paraphrasing, but it's always better for somebody else to talk about you than you talk about yourself, right? So testimonials are phenomenal for that. Video, even better. I know a lot of times y'all like clip them and just kind of put all of the text everywhere with AI. I mean, we live in a trust recession, right? People want to trust you more. They're going to at least want to see video, even though video could be AI, but there's just still a higher probability that that's real than just these cut and paste of these texts, right? But when you post a testimonial, it seems self-serving. Even though that person is there to talk about you, it still seems self-serving because everybody already thinking they just trying to get me to buy something, right? I mean, let's just call it what it is. That's what people thinking. So instead of using testimonials, reframe them and call them case studies. What's even better is if you do what I'm going to show you in the bonus after number 10, then you can really leverage these case studies to prove an entirely, like if you use these case studies in the way I'm going to show you in the bonus, your webinar will start printing money like you would never believe. Okay. But the point is, just by that nuance of a change and calling it a case study, which is something that people can examine and see themselves in, versus a testimonial that seemed like is self-serving, psychologically, it changes the game. Okay. And so one of the things that we teach our clients inside of our mastermind, because we coach coaches and consultants how to do this stuff at a high level, how to have 6-figure days, 7-figure years in their businesses. So we teach them everything that I'm teaching y'all, but in greater detail, obviously. And so one of the things we show them is you take these case studies and you use the case study to solve a problem that you're teaching. So by creating this problem, then I solve it with a case study. Then guess what that does? It still shows me as the authority before me ever having to say that I'm an authority. Because I clearly taught this person how to fix this problem. So now I fixed your problem through the efforts of somebody else, through the teaching of my own. Man, I hope this is as good to y'all as it is to me, because this is pretty good. I must say so myself. Okay. Number 7, ask for permission. Number 7, ask for permission. You want to ask for permission. When I say that specifically, I mean when you get down to the transition where you're done with the presentation and you're about to transition to the offer portion, you want to ask them, is it okay for me to show you what I put together that can solve your problem? Now you kind of like, well, B, that seemed goofy. I know it does. But here's the reality. If you don't, there will be many people there subconsciously that will feel offended based on previous trauma of people forcing stuff down their throat. So remember earlier, I don't want to have a presentation. I want to have a conversation. So if we were having a conversation with one another, some people do this, which by the way, when they do it, it drives me crazy. You ever be with somebody out and whether it's a friend or a stranger and y'all having a conversation and then randomly, they pull out their phone and they like, oh, let me show you the pictures of XYZ. Like, where'd that come from? Right? Like, we were just talking and all of a sudden they showing you their whole catalog of their family photos and when their grandbaby was, it's like, where did this come from? Right? You feel violated because they didn't ask for permission. They just said, let me show you. So the same thing happens when you're doing a webinar presentation where if you don't ask them for permission to show them the offer, then it's kind of intrusive that you're trying to shove something down their throat without asking for permission. Does that make sense? By the way, if you were thinking of all these things, you already be doing them and you already be making all this money, which is why I know some of this sound counterintuitive as it should, but that don't mean you shouldn't do it. Does that make sense? Okay. Number 8, value before price. Value before price. Many people go wrong. As a matter of fact, so you ever notice, especially if you like seeing a consulting offer or like something where somebody put something together pretty on like a PDF, right? And they kind of mapped it all out and then they had a price at the top, almost as if how you signed your name on paper when you were in school. And then it'd have all the components under it. You and I both know when you see that price, you done missed all the rest of that. Because now you looking at it through the lens of the price. Well, people do the same thing with their webinar slides. When they get down to their offer, they got everything on there. They got the price and all the stuff that's in it. That's no bueno. Price is always an issue in the absence of the value. Price is always an issue in the absence of the value. So what does that mean? That means that you want to have the value in your offer first. You want to be able to go through every component and put the value associated with that, right? I'm going to teach you our one-to-many mechanism for 4 pathways to 6, right? $10,000 value. And you're going to explain to them the value. Every single line item on your offer stack, you should explain the benefit of it. You should not just recite everything off and then at the end tell them what the price is. Why? Because you haven't explained the value. Price is always an issue in the absence of the value. So you always want to convey the value first. And if you're really good, you want to convey the financial gain or the financial detriment as a result of taking the offer, not taking the offer, so that then you could tie it to the price. So if I showed you that I can help you make 6 figures in a day, right? But let's be more conservative, although we do have our clients do that. Let's say if I could show you how to make 6 figures in 6 months with the value I've explained. And then I tell you that the price is 10,000. Now I have something tangible to compare that to, because would you exchange $10,000 to make 100,000 in 6 months? Of course you would. Anybody semi-intelligent with a pulse that's watching this would say yes to that. Well, other people would too. So the more that you can show them a measured outcome based on your offer, then if they're paying you with a measured amount of money, they have something to now compare that money to. If they don't, and you just make everything sound so feel good, and you're going to have peace, and you're going to have joy, and you're going to have productivity, and it's $10,000, they like, I go to church for peace, joy for a lot less than 10. You know what I mean? I pay my tithe. So you want to be conscious of that as you're explaining it. Okay. So number 8, value before price. Number 9, we got 2 more in a bonus. This is extremely important. Sit in the sale. Sit in the sale. So oftentimes when you present an opportunity on a webinar, as you probably have noticed, they don't buy immediately when you say, here's the link. You know what I'm saying? I wish that happened all the time, but sometimes they just don't. Most times they just don't. For 2 different reasons. One, because if people have been on enough webinars, they're probably anticipating that you're going to have some type of special offer, bonus, or repitch. Okay. If y'all don't know what those are, let me know in the comment. I'll include that in my part 2. Okay. So they're kind of waiting to see when the next shoe gonna drop. They figure if you're desperate enough, you probably start discounting it if people ain't buying, etc. So what I mean by sitting in the sale is once you get down to the point where you made the offer and don't nobody purchase, don't freak out and just close the webinar out and say, everybody just book a call, right? Sit there. And by the way, you should be thinking about this before you ever do a webinar. What are the things that's going to hold them back? What's going to be their primary objection? Money, right? What's going to be the secondary? Time. The third, is this going to really work for me? So if you're really good, you should be already answering those questions throughout the presentation without them ever having to ask them. You get down to the offer, you have to be so in tune with the presentation because you had a conversation that if nobody buying, you should start thinking of reasons as to why they probably aren't. Maybe it was the price. So let me again talk about the value over the price. Let me compare something that they've already paid the same for a lot less value, right? Let me talk about these things, handle objections. And then you will see all of a sudden, bing, 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 they start coming in, but you got to sit there in the sale. Don't be afraid to ask them, hey, put your questions in the chat. I want to sit here and make sure I'm abundantly clear with everybody, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you want to sit in the sale. Number 10, y'all may have to send me a tip after this one. Okay. After you start making all this money, create buyer energy. Okay. Create buyer energy. This is what I mean. I'm about to give y'all this bonus and we're going to get out of here. Once the sales started coming in, and we started doing this like a couple years ago, and it is unbelievable how it would change the number of purchases on the webinar. So you don't tell them that you're going to do this. Okay. Man, I'm giving y'all some secrets. You don't tell them that you're going to do this. But once the first person purchases, you go find that person, call them out loud. Hey, is Joe here? Yeah. Yep. So Joe, you didn't know that from taking action, you were going to get a blessing today. Well, you kind of knew because you're getting the blessing of the program, but I'm talking about an additional blessing you didn't know about. Here's what I want to do, Joe. I'm going to give you access to one of my programs that was $5,000. I'm going to give you access just by virtue of this $297 you paid for this ticket to come to the event. What's it doing? It's not, by the way, this is all real. Okay. I'm giving Joe not just like some foo-foo template. I'm giving Joe real value in another program, maybe a course or something that you got pre-recorded that doesn't take away from the thing you're going to be offering. And I'm incentivized Joe in front of everybody. So this is what I mean by create buyer energy. Guess what happened? Everybody want more. We're selfish. So now all of a sudden people start purchasing even more, thinking maybe he gonna give away another one. So I ain't gonna give y'all that sauce. Okay, I have to give y'all plenty. All right, give y'all that sauce. But to give away the bonuses. Okay, just listen to me on this. Give away the bonuses and watch how more people start buying. And while everybody shouldn't get the same benefit that Joe and maybe another did because they were first or second, maybe find some consolation prizes for the other folks as they coming through. Make any sense? It don't take away anything from you, and it only adds to what you're doing. Okay, this the bonus. This is the bonus. The big bonus always come from a mistake angle. Always come from a mistake angle. Many of you, I see it every day. You got these beautiful webinar titles, especially for those of y'all that get them from chat. Beautiful webinar titles. They're so eloquently stated. Oh, I'm gonna show you how to get better sleep, be better prepared to take on the world, blah, 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 right? Beautiful, beautiful. It's like a dream as I read the titles. The problem with that is this. Don't nobody know you and don't nobody trust you. Whenever you go into cold traffic, just try me. Just try me. Whenever you go to cold traffic with strangers, they will always believe that you will take them away from pain, then they will believe that you will take them into pleasure. Oh, I'm gonna show you how to make $1 million over the next year. No, why would you do that? You don't know me. I'm not your family. I'm not your friend. Like, why would you do that? But if I said, I'm gonna show you the 10 mistakes that people are making pursuing their first $1 million in this industry, oh, I'm tuning in. Why? Because I'm selfishly, I want to know what's these 10 mistakes so I can avoid them. So if you come from a mistake angle, and for those of y'all that was paying attention to my previous part about case studies. So if you come up with 5 mistakes and you come up with 5 case studies, which are testimonials that you've reframed in the case studies, and you show this case study saw this mistake, then that means that the biggest mistakes that they can make, you've already proven that you've helped people avoid them. And so now you got credibility. They now see themselves as to how they can be the hero through the case study. So guess what they do? They figure out what card they're going to use. That's what they do. If you want to get more people to opt in to your webinar, stop promising them paradise and promise them that you're going to show them how to avoid the biggest pitfalls and problems. And as a result of showing them how to avoid the pitfalls and problems, guess what you're going to do? Print paper. If this blessed you, let me know below. Share it with a friend, like it so it could get out in the algorithm more. And I will see you guys in the next one.